Hello and welcome to another build video brought to you by OrbisDuctor. Let's change it up today and talk about a shotgun build. More like shot fun build. No, in all seriousness though, this is truly the most fun build that I've created. And it's also worth noting that this is not really for heroics. This is genuinely more for grinding challenge in a fun way and making sure it doesn't get boring and monotonous. So don't expect to necessarily top the DPS charge. But you can definitely expect to have the most fun. Let's get started, shall we? First things first, let's talk about shotguns in general. They are inferior to almost every single other type of weapon system, PvP included. You can hit pretty hard with Sweet Dreams, a couple of these you can hit pretty hard, but they have an immediate drawback, which is, recycling for the next round, accuracy. I mean, there's just a slew of problems with them. In the grand scheme of things, they tend to not compare up to other weapons very well. If you look at something like 333k per round, with my, say, P314, it can do that in 3 bullets. So, this is not that good, given its rate of fire. And that also includes needing to be on top of the target. So with all that said, shotguns are not really the way to go if you're looking to top DPS or do heroics, at least not in my eyes. But you can build them up with a rock and roll in particular, in such a way that doing challenge missions, for especially grinding areas, things like Lincoln Monument, you can actually make it not only fun, but much faster, as you can basically camp the spawns and blow them up before they even come out. And that's really where this build excels. Just about anywhere else with EMPs, anything like heroics, any far ranges, those are all antithetical to the concept of this build. It has to be kind of a close range map. Thankfully, there's a lot of those. But the key is this, the rock and roll. Basically, it's the hardest part of this build to get, being you have to get in the DZ, but you get perfectly extra, giving you 50% extra magazine capacity, totaling out to 30 rounds in your mag. I have a decent one, and that took a long time to get. I just recently finally got it, and finally went back to this build. Yes, you can do this with an ACS-12, but you aren't going to reap as good of a return on the ammo that you save utilizing Pummel. And Pummel is really the linchpin that keeps the fast-shooting shotguns together. Without that, you're not reloading for free, you're not gaining a damage boost, and you're going to piss away all your ammo, and that's that. So if you're using any fast-firing shotguns, Pummel is the way to go. I would even say that Tsunami, having perfect Pummel, is pretty good. The problem is that it's actually semi-auto like every other shotgun. Its rate of fire is not exceptional, and most importantly, its mag is tiny. And that is the biggest disappointment. Even going with something like the Send-Off, the KSG line, they are quite good, in fact, but they have an inherent drawback as well. The reload time is horrendous. M870s, it can eke out a little bit more damage over the Send-Off, but same issue, reload, unless you're getting perfect shots up close every single time to make sure Pummel refills your mag for you, which is difficult. And then lastly, talking about Sweet Dreams, yes it is good, but you lose Merciless. That's a huge amount of DPS with a shotgun, as every pellet has a chance to pop explosive damage for the Merciless. So that almost immediately eliminates itself as a top contender, even with evasive. So what needs to be on your shotgun? Most importantly, you have to use the Technician Spec, and you have to use the Link Laser Pointer. This is just frankly a must. Crit chance is helpful for the optics rail. Pummel is the primary talent, and if you have a rock and roll, perfectly extra is nice. An ACS with rate of fire is pretty stout, but it gets a little crazy as far as its handling goes. But it does work. The mag size is a hindrance. And I say that as a real-time application. Next up, let's talk about Merciless. Basically gives you brutality, 5% chance to deal 100% damage with explosive rounds each pellet, in this case. Secondary shotguns, these can be as strong, if not stronger, than most of your other big shotguns like the KSG. They are stout, they are good to switch to. Personally, I like perfect protected reload, just gives you a little bit more of a buffer, but this one's subjective. However, I will say that recharge is pretty dang good for the skill portion of this build. Next up, let's make sure that we have a Night Watcher with perfect spotter. I have 54% DTE, skill power, plus you get that one utility mod slot. You can put a explosive bonus damage mod in here if you have that ability, and you can sacrifice the skill power. Next up, Strategic Alliance. You need the yellows anyhow. plus you get that extra 5% with Perfect Spark, not to mention in the DZ and PvP. This yields quite a bit better results than normal Spark, so that's always a positive. Pretty solid weapon damage, and some skill power there as well, some more crit chance. Then talking about Pristine Example. Now this is one that I'll swap out sometimes with Fenris Chest, something like that. You can total out to some pretty solid armor numbers. Sometimes you'll see me running around 300 and like 10k armor. Basically I'm swapping in this in backpack with the armor talent plus another 10k. And that does yield pretty good results, however it does also obviously hurt your weapon damage. But Pristine Example is definitely, I don't know, my preferred method, assuming I know I'm not going to die. Alright, on to another name. We have Motherly Love with 13% shotgun damage and Perfectly Opportunistic, also giving you a red mod slot. Now we have our second China piece, being the knee pads. I put my DTE on this, put crit chance on, and of course another 6% shotgun damage, and that gives you 10% shotgun damage having the two China pieces. Next up, the Jackrabbit holster from Gilligard. This is a shame. I wish I could find something else with two red slots that would be worth using. In theory, I could use that, but I just really like the crit chance and the skill power on there. I don't want to lose those. However, you could use that to utilize a KSG or something like that. Now let's move on to skills. Since you're a technician, you're going to be using the skill hive, okay? The Artificer. Basically, you do need a fair amount of skill power to make this thing work maximum capacity. Buff duration is important. The higher the better. At least one charges, you can do a radius in case your drone gets out of range. And lastly, running the Defender drone. In my case, I actually decided to put health on it, as well as duration. That's pretty stout. You want to be at least about 75 seconds. On duration, cooldown, subjective and up to you. But that actually pretty much is it. You're looking at 80% damage reduction, which is quite a big deal. Pummel is the key. Refilling a 30-round shotgun mag for free is pretty dang awesome. It really allows you to just keep going infinitely with this thing. Not to mention, if you're killing stuff fast enough, you don't have to let go of the trigger, for the love of God. That's awesome. You have so much leeway with rock and roll with the mag size. And frankly, that kind of sums it up. It's a fun build for generally challenge grinding, for gear, and other various things. If you can put it into a PvP form, good luck. I don't know how well that would work. I dare not try this in the DZ. There's too many long-distance conflicts. Remember that everything is flexible and basically up to what gear you have available. So, that is all. I hope you enjoy this build. Thanks for watching. This is OrbisDuctor, out.